Unfiltered. This is a special episode where I'm not interviewing any guests, but sharing four things. One, why I started this podcast. Two, a quick recap of all the immigrant entrepreneurs I have interviewed so that if you haven't heard any episode yet, you know where to start. Three, my key learnings interviewing these immigrant entrepreneurs that will help me and you start your own side hustle and business. Four, I'll share the lineup of my upcoming guests, and they're all from very diverse fields. So, one, why I started this podcast. Last year, I lost my job, and a realization struck me that jobs are as risky as businesses. In fact, I believe they're even more riskier with this constantly changing technology, AI. I've spoken to many friends, and they think the same. So, this pushed me over the edge to start something of my own. But as an immigrant who moved to US 6 years ago and having worked a job all his life, I did not know where to start. I did a few things, didn't pan out. So then I started talking to immigrants turned entrepreneurs who were in the same situation as me, but they figured out how to build their own business. What are the challenges they faced so that you and me, we can learn from them and start our own hustle. Personally, I have two goals. In the near term, I want to start something of my own, maybe a side hustle, maybe content creation, but it's not paying me yet. And my long term goal, 10 years down the line, is to FIRE, which is financial independence, a concept that Ritik Roshan introduced to us in Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara. And Katrina Kaif laughed at him, but he was on the right track. Especially if you're an NRI living abroad, this is much more achievable. Do your research so that you live a much better worry-free life doing other things that you enjoy. Now let's get to the second part where I recap all the immigrant entrepreneurs I have interviewed so far. My first guest was Ankita. She was also the first immigrant entrepreneur I have known in US. Ankita is from Jodhpur, Rajasthan. She was a Zumba and dance instructor back home who also worked doing wedding choreography. And that's how she got her first opportunity to learn about the event space by helping out a friend with those big fat weddings. But before establishing herself as an event planner there, she got married and moved to US. In US, she started as a Zumba instructor at gyms and slowly established her connections. From there, she got her first event and there was no looking back afterwards. But it wasn't as easy as it sounds. Ankita had to learn how events are done in US by interning for different companies for more than a year. She also had her first kid while she was establishing her company. And soon after, COVID struck, so she had to navigate challenges of having a young child and doing live in-person events. But now she is an established event planner in New Jersey and Pennsylvania area. And she's even started her own rental business, which she already can't keep up with. Her journey, energy, and passion is very inspiring. But don't take my word for it. Go listen to the full episode or check out her website and see her reviews. My second guest is building her brand Aura by Rutu from Santa Clara, California. While most Indians come to US for STEM, she came here to study business fashion. In college, she tested her idea of what to sell. Slow fashion and wearing hand-stitched clothes growing up shaped her business philosophy. While she was ready to start, COVID disrupted her plans and she couldn't start for more than a year. But she did not give up. Listen to the full episode and learn more about where Rutu draws her inspiration from for designs and who her favorite designers and brands are. My third episode was different because Dhruvi is not an entrepreneur, not yet, but her hustle was unique. Have you ever heard of the word urban planner? I hadn't. Dhruvi is an urban planner. They are people who help build our town and cities and also the societal structure around it. Having degrees from reputed colleges back in India and Europe and significant work experience under her belt, Dhruvi struggled to find her first job in US because everything here is different. It's miles, not kilometers. It's elevator, not lift. You get the gist. It mattered in her profession. But she did not give up and got her internship with United Nations. And there was no looking back from then. But it wasn't without sacrifices. Oh, and one highlight for me from this episode is the clarity Dhruvi had in her life of what she wanted to do, her strengths and her weaknesses. Since Talking to Dhruvi, I have realized that clarity is half the success. It's simple, but not easy. Listen to the full episode to learn about what goes into city planning, urban development, and also Dhruvi's journey of how she started and her interesting experiences like navigating Naxals in Chhattisgarh. My fourth episode is also the most streamed audio episode so far. In this episode, I interview Meenakshi, a nutrition and fitness coach. This means more and more people are interested in this space. See, that's your cue if you want to get started on something. Meenakshi's coaching journey started when she realized her own fitness levels had gone for a toss while climbing 2 flights of stairs carrying groceries. So she started working with instructors, but they gave her generic advice without understanding her cultural background. That's when she saw the gap and started helping other South Asians get fit. It wasn't easy though. She faced imposter syndrome, priced her services low, had self doubt, but she gradually overcame all of that. Listen to the full episode. You will get great tips from Meenakshi on how to stay fit and consistent. And no, weight loss is not the end goal. This guest is a great example of it's never too late to follow your passion. In my fifth episode, I interview Sonia Bamra, the owner of BB's Tiffin, who operates not one but two restaurants out of Lehigh Valley. And she has achieved this feat in a matter of 3 years. Did you know the break-even time in restaurant industry is approximately 2 years? And the cherry on top was she did this without borrowing any money from banks. Sonia ji discusses how past experiences shaped her journey and the woman who inspired her. She shares how unforgiving customers are when it comes to food, how she brings out creativity and insights like the 7-minute rule to keep customers happy, how to deal with negative reviews. Oh, and did I tell you she started her restaurant business at the peak of pandemic? How adventurous. Listen to the full episode. If you're not already inspired to start something on your own, the journey of Kurta Lady, aka Swasti Rao, will surely inspire you. Swasti went from being dependent to having 2 jobs and a business at one point while raising her kids. In this episode, we start from the basics. How Swasti discovered the opportunity to sell kurtas in US, how she tested her idea, overcame the fear of social media, and went from being an introvert to an influencer. Swasti went all in on her business, giving up a lucrative career and recognition as a journalist, which was her dream 20 years ago. She shares interesting insights on what customers prefer to wear, how she managed to get more than 200 5-star reviews for her business, and more. Listen now to the full episode. My 7th episode was with an edtech entrepreneur, Garima Rao. Garima is helping second-gen immigrant students navigate the educational system in US. From starting her career in India as a teacher to launching an edtech company in US, her hustle is undeniable. In this episode, Garima shares insights into why videos are not the best way to learn for young kids, problem with using AI, why SATs are coming back, navigating student debt, importance of meditation in today's life for adults and children. She also shares tips to start in her space or join her and overcoming mom guilt. Her mission is to help students but also empower other women. Go watch the full episode. Hey, I said watch. This is the first video podcast I had recorded and it was a very fun conversation. Well, you tell me. Now, moving to the third part of the episode. My favorite part, the key learnings I got from interviewing these entrepreneurs. Number 1, customer first approach. As a small business, this is very important because you do not have a ton of money on marketing or advertising. So the way to grow your business is by serving those first customers right, who in turn will refer their friends and who will refer their friends. This was common among everyone I interviewed. To name a few, Ankita, the Kurta Lady, BB Stephen, go check out their Google reviews. They mentioned this too. Their core customers got them new customers. In fact, the customer first approach was suggested by Sam Walton, the founder of Walmart. In his book, Made in America, he said the way small businesses can compete against Walmart is providing the best customer service possible and exceeding expectations. Did you know this is Amazon's first principle too? Customer obsession. So whatever you start with, start there. Number 2 key learning, interviewing these 7 entrepreneurs. You may think you do not have passion or talent to start a side hustle or a business of your own. What you need to do is keep looking for problems and opportunities in your life and in lives of people around you. This is what Minakshi and Kurta Lady had done. They solved their own problem first of being unfit or getting that dress that they wanted. And from then on, they went on to help others who were struggling with the same problem. My learning number 3, talking to these entrepreneurs. You find opportunities when you talk to people. Sonia ji from BB Stiffen talked to customers that walked into her father's grocery store and learned that essential healthcare workers and single professionals needed help with their meals. Garima talked to parents of young children in libraries to understand what they were struggling with. After starting this podcast, I am doing this too. Whenever I have a chance to meet someone new, I try to strike up a conversation. In fact, my wife is surprised. She's like, "You're now talking to everyone." Funny story. When we moved to Austin a couple of years ago, we didn't know anyone. And I used to push my wife to talk to people at grocery stores, restaurants, and during our walks. I'll probably still do that, but I can be more participative now, which may increase our chances of success. To make new friends, meet new people, and don't kill yourself for that. You will get better. Learning number 4, timing is never perfect. Most of the entrepreneurs I interviewed started their business during COVID. Sonia ji opening a restaurant peak COVID, and Ankita's event business picked up during COVID because people were not traveling and spending that money celebrating small and big events. So if you start now, it may be slow, but when the market is ripe, you will be prepared. Learning number 5, start small. Aim big, but start small. Most of the entrepreneurs I interviewed were dependents. They did not have considerable savings, but they started small and built it along the way. Learning number 6, research and be persistent. It's a lot harder in the beginning. I have experienced this too. I went from being a faceless account to now posting these videos, which is outside my comfort zone. It may or may not get easier, but you get better. Learning number 7, interviewing these immigrant entrepreneurs. Unless you know Karan Johar, remember we all began our journey from zero, just as Aryabhatta did. Coming to the last part of episode, I am very excited to share I have interesting guests lined up from different professions that I'm going to be interviewing. These are all immigrant small business owners or having their side hustle going very successfully. My next set of guests are a recipe maker who is also an influencer, a DJ, and he's also the first male guest I'm interviewing on this podcast. I know it took a while. A dance teacher, a life and relationship coach, and few more I'm talking to right now, all from diverse professions. I hope you're enjoying this podcast, but most importantly, getting inspired to start a hustle of your own. Because jobs these days are as risky as businesses, and it's always good to be your own boss and define your own terms. If you have any interesting guests that I should talk to, you can reach out to me on pod.dhustlers@gmail.com or reach out via Instagram at dhustlerspod. I'll link the details in the description. Also, if you have any interesting feedback or learnings or something that you enjoyed listening to my podcast, please reach out and let me know. It makes me happy and motivated to do better.